Well, good morning. Yeah, it's Friday morning. It's not Thursday evening. I've had it was a bit of a delay today. Very exhausting Thursday that I had. Lots of things were going on, but this week has been eventful. And these two verses kind of resonate with me of how this week went. Psalms 71:18 out of the Amplified Version. It always brings out good stuff. It states here, "Yet even when I was old and gray-headed, O God, forsake me not, but keep me alive until I have declared your mighty strength to this generation and your might and power to all that are to come." So I read that this week, and I was just thinking about our times together this week, which I'm going to share in a little bit, and it really resonated with me. And then another verse came about during my quiet time, my meditation with our Abba Father. Isaiah 52:7, Amplified again. "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who bring good tidings, who publishes peace, who brings good tidings of good, who publish salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns." And that's based on a couple verses that we're familiar with in the New Testament, Acts 10:36, of course, Romans 10:15, and Ephesians 6:14 through 15. So this week has been an opportunity, but I appreciate everyone watching the first video, subscribing to the Full Circle Refuge channel, YouTube channel. It's been great. I really appreciate that. Thank you, and share it with others. Of course, we have some of the new things that have been added, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So this is kind of the middle of the month of ministry, August, and we're almost winding down, but we have some new things added to our weekly ministry this week. Tuesday of this week, I didn't have the opportunity to go to Augusta RYDC, but one of our volunteers, Rick Jones, our dedicated volunteer, very faithful, he went for the challenge to do one of our Bible discussion groups at the Augusta RYDC. It's always eventful, trying to break the ice in young men, but we continue to go. He was up for the challenge to go, because sometimes building relationships is our goal, to set the foundation for these young men to get to the goal of changing the way they think and act, and based on Romans 12:1 and 2. So it's always a good opportunity to hear others have that challenge. I got a chance also this week to meet with a young man. Let me go back a little bit. Of course, on Tuesday night, we had the opportunity. I started a new podcast. It's added. It's called Act Like Men for Real. And it's on this YouTube channel. And it's also on Podbean. You can point your app there, or however you can get podcasts. And I appreciate you listening. Give us some feedback. I had lots of thoughts and reading my notes. I did write my notes before I got to this. And it also goes alongside the other podcast that we will do every other Tuesday of Who Am I? Identity Crisis of Youth Today. Really talking about real world culture issues that are a problem for our youth, and real world biblical solutions that can solve these. So that will be happening. Wednesday of this week, well, I had a great opportunity meeting with that young man, not Tuesday, but Wednesday. This is all unscripted. And it's always hard when you're mentoring someone in lockup, because it can change weekly. It can be good, bad, and ugly. I think I talked about that last week with another young man, talking about the good, bad, and ugly. And you're really expecting the bad and ugly, just the venting of the world, or their world that they're involved in. But it was a great conversation. He's been praying. God's been working in his life. He's really seeking God's direction for himself. It was really an enjoyable time. It's always fresh for the ministry when you know that God is using you. And that's for anybody that's out there stirred, that they're trying to start this type of ministry, or they want to come on board with us. There's many needs. The harvest is ready, I'm telling you. And again, I'm challenging you all, especially you men. There's 60 plus young men there that need a mentor. I'm challenging you. It doesn't take a Devin to do this. It doesn't take my 25 years plus of ministry to do this. It just takes your testimony, young, old, wherever you're from, whatever job, whatever poor, rich, whatever, don't matter. God's calling you. I challenge you. And you can see the pictures on the background. These are memories of attaboys, but there's many things I can't talk about that God has blessed me with. Right after I met with this young man, I got to head over to another facility, that's Augusta YDC, to do a Bible discussion group with about 7 men. It was really amazing. I got to talk to one young man that never met me, and then another young man that knew me, and then others started to come to the table. You know, it was really challenging as I'm trying to feel the table, and this new young man, I didn't know much about him, but he was about to move into adulthood, and he doesn't have much time left to go back to what we call the free world. And I wanted to give him the way out, and he goes, I don't read books. I said, okay. And had some other conversation. I can tell there was a lack of education there, lack of education. So it was really a challenge that this young man was going to be an adult soon and had some lack of reading skills. And based on statistics, based on this, that the opportunity for him to go back into the free world and as a young adult and actually not read well, most likely percentages that he'll get locked up again. That's a sad thing. We don't live in a third world country. We live in America, the greatest country, based on my opinion, that we have free education. But here's young men or a young man that doesn't have that. And Rick, one of our volunteers, he loves to tutor. And this is a simple thing. Not that you were an educator, that you just sit alongside and guide a young man in that. And that is relationship building. Maybe you can't teach a Bible study. Maybe you can't preach, but maybe you can sit there and listen to a young man, guide him through his curriculum. That's another need for the ministry today. So we continue with this group. We had about 7 boys. The conversation was talking about the mask that we wear. And I even had my hat on, and it was a half hat, and it was appropriate. Didn't even know. It was early off the cuff, and God just showed favor. Put the hat on my face, I can see through, and I did the illustration as a mask. It was a really good talking about the wounds that are deep in us and that they mask in front of their peers. They mask everywhere, and some of us still have a mask. It's from deep-seated wounds that we don't allow Jesus to handle. We don't let him to handle our business. And it was, if you could see the eyes of these young men, I wish, the description I give you won't do justice to what I saw. Even seasoned young men that I've met over the years, you can see God just staring their heart of the Holy Spirit just dealing with their business. We came to this consensus of John 3:16. It's always a go-to. It is. It is a go-to verse. But you know what? You think they would know the verse, but they never heard of the verse. One young man almost quoted, but he had missed a weak perception of it. And we broke that off and bringing it to God so loved you. That's the world. That's the definition right there. You and me. And we broke that out in the tools that are there of everlasting life. That's releasing the womb. That's taking off the mask so you can live free. And every one of them wanted this. And it was sincere. And I even gave them a simple prayer that is probably part of my mantra. My meditation every single day is to give Jesus everyone and everything. And I love you, Jesus. I love you, Lord. I love you, Holy Spirit. And we gave that to them to repeat that. And I told them during their time tonight, and I said that, matter of fact, what I've just given you, guys, is you're accountable for now. It's best me not to talk to you, but now you come over to listen to me, and God's going to hold you accountable for what was shared with you. And you might have all kinds of promises, I told them, about what you want to do when you're released. And you might even say, I want some Jesus, but God's going to remind you of that promise. He reminded me a long time ago of the same thing when I came out of the Desert Storm to war. The promise that I promised him, and now I'm in that promise. I am in that promise. So yesterday was very exhausting. I had a couple new VA appointments and just the lifestyle being 60 plus now. I was heading to 1 degree at a time and to go pick up Mark, one of my spiritual sons, and that you're familiar with, Mark. And he's in his 30s now, and they had a setback in their house, a dilemma that I walked into and was really concerned. And I'm ready to go to 1 degree at a time, so I prayed with them. I gave them some tools, but I asked my prayer warriors now, ask our prayer warriors, God's prayer warriors, to pray for Mark and his family right now. I don't need to go into details, but they've had some setbacks this week that has affected Mark's health. Matter of fact, he couldn't even go to assist me with 1 degree at a time. He was very disappointed that he could not go. Pray for God to meet their needs, for Jehovah Jireh to supply their needs. I need intercessors to pray for Mark and his family. But I did go to 1 degree at a time. Jaquan was there, one of our assistants, great, faithful young man that's coming up in the ranks of God's army. That's what that's about. And we had the opportunity to speak to about 8 young men to set the standard. You know, we start this thing off, they don't know what's going to happen. But we talk about, who are you? First of all, we identify their name is very important. Your name can be name of successes. Your name could be no good thug, and that's how people remember you. But your name never changes. We started to identify what you want to be when you grow up. And talk about your entrepreneurship, or what are your dreams? And we start repeating their name with what they want to be when they grow up. And we start defining them like that. And then we talk about the lie of the world and why you listen to a liar. And then we talk about this funny thing called stinking thinking. And we show this silhouette picture, or actually a picture of a Department of Corrections prison system, and men just packed up in there. And we challenge them, is this what you want in life? And we challenge them over and over. And we talk about to change the way they think and act, from relationship to belief systems to values to your actions, a different focus that people look at you, but your name didn't change. And we challenge them. Now it's in your court. What are you going to do with this? We say, if you don't lead your life, someone else will lead it for you. And we ask them to repeat that and challenge them. And at the end, we do kind of a consensus to see where they're at. We ask them, what was your expectations when you walked in here today? We ask him, did we succeed your expectations? Is this something different? And then we go, is this something that make you think? And, you know, they're in front of the peers, so they're not going to say yes or no or raise their hand. You get a nod, and that's all we need. That's all we need. So pray for these young minds. This weekend, the challenges, because we've opened something, a light on them, and we know the darkness wants to cover it up. Pray for these young men. My prayer warriors out there, pray for these young men. As we go in through the weekend, and then we go into next week, and next Thursday, we start session 2. We're really looking forward to that. So let me see what else I got here. I want to say, yes, I finished. I did pretty good without looking at my notes. Thank you again. You have a blessed weekend. I'm looking forward to what God has for us. I pray for you, for even watching this. I pray that He shows us favor. That's including you this weekend. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share with others. Take care. Go do business with our God. God bless.